You know what is crazy to me about this generation is that the most unoriginal and undeserving and depthless people are the ones that are the most confident and arrogant. I have seen it time and time again. I'm an extrovert, but I don't have any friends, and there's no way for me to make friends. So I've followed influencers and models in the past because modeling is a passion of mine. I consider it a form of art. So I was like, sure, I'll follow like people that tend to do like modeling, sharing it online, like kind of give myself a sense of community with one of my interests. And I've noticed that there's a pattern because I'm apparently one of the few people that actually thinks for themselves and reads between the lines and doesn't just take whatever spoon fed narrative someone gives me. That a lot of women tend to just barely get success. And I don't mean this in like a patronizing kind of way. It's kind of just a fact. These days, 1 million followers on Instagram, etc., or even a couple million in general. I mean, yes, technically you are well known and you have your little bubble of comfort of people who will go along with whatever narrative you spew out. But I've noticed that the second that a woman starts to become successful, a lot of them become very, very ridiculously delusional and catty and narcissistic. They start to spin a narrative where they'll start saying things like, oh, I could just tell that I just shined brighter than a lot of other people around me ever since I was young. And everybody said that I was going to be famous because I was just more special. And I know that America loves to spin this narrative in general about, like, oh, she just has the it factor. She's just so special. And it really, really bothers me because as someone that is genuinely original, has a lot of grit and character, and is very genuinely authentic, not like pretending to be authentic like a lot of Instagram models do, just because they share some overly cliche Twitter advice that went outdated and wasn't saying anything in the first place from Twitter 10 years ago. That's the average authentic version when women say they're being authentic who are famous. I lost my train of thought, but basically what I'm trying to say is that there is a pattern where women become very narcissistic and they spin a narrative for their little warm bubble of followers that for some reason think they gain something out of following with them, where they will spin a narrative where they said, like, I was just more special than everyone from the start. Like, I was bound to be famous and to be worshipped. And it's so funny. Like, it shows a lot of immaturity because if you go on these women's profiles, they only get like, 100 to a couple of hundred comments per post. And I guess that they're just trying to feel good about themselves, but it bothers me because it's abusive and they're bringing other people down for the sake of lifting themselves up. I've seen it in YouTube influencers, I've seen it in Instagram models, and it shows a lot of immaturity and a lack of awareness from their own end because I've had that kind of success in the past, or I've had the stimulation of it. It's a long story. But I never in a million years would ever talk like that just because I got a little bit of success, especially on the internet, because I'm self aware enough to know that, like, I mean, in this day and age, 1 million followers is actually pretty modest, or even just like 5 million, even 9 million. It's not to say that it's not success, but even if it was a lot of success, like, why is it that the ones that just barely manage to get true success, why is it that they instantly become like these blown up narcissists that love to brainwash the people that care about them in their career, that like, oh, I just had it in me. I was just so much better than everyone, and everybody knew it, and everybody saw it in me. I know what basic human psychology is like. Nobody thought that you were going to be famous when you were in your theater class. Maybe people thought you were pretty. Nobody thought you were going to be famous when you were in theater. I know the way that humans think. It tends to be something that, like, once something comes true, like once someone begins to see success, they start to like manipulate the past, and they start to manipulate their own memories, and we're like, oh, this was always bound to happen, and they start to change the way that people thought about them. And for some reason, I guess because people want to be a part of a community in a sense, a lot of their followers go along with them. And the reason why this bothers me, like, at the end of the day, if people want to be a little bit delusional about their life story, go ahead. I do it. Everyone does it. People are crazy. But it bothers me because it time and time again, and this is both with A-list people and, independent Instagram models or whatever, any kind of successful person,
there's this narrative both with their fans and with the people that they work with and with they themselves, where instead of like helping people with their resources or using their voice for like original nuance, and this is both about Hollywood actresses, Instagram models, instead of helping people like with the platforms and the success that they have, they just become a delusional, immature, self-interested, like narcissistic person. And America desperately does not need more narcissistic people. Like that, this whole rise of Sydney Sweeney, and how like she's already starting to talk about, oh, I want to work with this really amazing director, and I want to do this next, and I want to do this awesome thing. And she was on an incredibly corny, superficial SNL skit. Like all that's, I guess, fine, but I personally despise it because there's nothing special about these clones that the entertainment industry of all levels, whether it's independent creators or whether it's people that are made up from Hollywood or whatever. There's nothing special about these people on a character level. The Hollywood keeps plucking like certain women, and you know the internet plucks women, and they just like decide that these women should be like the faces of success, and I'm better than everyone, and I'm so special, and I'm so interesting, and you wish that you were me. Like some of them are even openly catty these days, and they're like, you wish that you were me. I block those worthless idiots instantly. And I feel like a lot of people would think that I'm jealous with this rant. I'm not. I'm infuriated over this system that like does not encourage authenticity or quality of character or any character at all, but rather just takes these girls, these women that are desperate to feel special, desperate to follow this narrative that they were always special, and they basically become tools to fuel America's capitalism with this idea of narcissism and superficiality, because that's the things, those are the themes that will keep people brainlessly consuming, brainlessly praising the same superficial narcissistic woman that doesn't help anyone but themselves with their careers, and that just gives like these normal, regular women in terms of the way that they think and the way that they respond to social power, which is literally the best power that you could ever have to influence the world, that is incredibly broken. And it gives these narcissistic, predictable, no character, corny women these opportunities to basically have everyone's attention, again, living on this incredibly broken world. And time again, none of these women do anything except to go on corny SNL skits, sell their junk to their fans on Instagram, brainwash their fans into praising them and treating them like gods. And unless you're someone that has no character yourself, which unfortunately is most people, they buy into this narrative every time, and it makes society incredibly superficial and sociopathic and brainwashed, and the people that run, quote unquote, the country, because guess what? The people who actually run the country is not politicians. It's the female celebrities. It's the female actresses. It's the pop stars. It's the people that control people's hearts and souls. And I've seen them. I've studied them with my own eyes. I've seen what they post. They do nothing but show off how much better they are than people with their Gucci outfits walking around California, posting vague captions about how much better they are than everybody, showing off their money, showing off their riches like Ice Spice. All of these people, the reason why America plucks these women out of the crowd is because they have no problem playing the superficial, better than you, get on my level or die narcissists. Because that's what America and its capitalism wants. I mean, yes, a lot of it is also just human nature and people being pieces of shit. In my opinion, what makes a person a piece of shit isn't how poor they are or how unaccomplished they are, it's their character. And you would be amazed how much 99% of people, both consumers and celebrities the same, deserve to be completely disdained because they have no character at all. And they're playing the capitalistic game of like, can you be a narcissist and brainwash everyone into hating each other and into only caring about themselves and not actually using your platform to speak any kind of importance to anything? Like, can you just be another get rich quick or die platform for us so that we can continue to brainwash the average people into like thinking that they're not good enough and that they're not enough unless they're you, and that they can only dream of being you, and otherwise they rightfully deserve to feel like shit, and that they should hate anyone that isn't you or like you or trying to be like you, because that's what ultimately makes us money and also what keeps the working class poor. Because if people feel like shit about themselves because they don't feel fully good about themselves within themselves, then they will continue to get up and go to work every day because, as far as they're concerned, they're trash because they're not Taylor Swift, they're not Nicki Minaj, they're not Cindy Sweetie. They're just not as awesome as these women that aren't standing up for any cause with their platform. So, hey, you got to keep going to work and hating your neighbor, right?